Hello everybody, Hawk here, and today we're doing our final prediction, because I'm not going to try to guess what extra cards Konami's putting in. I have a wish list, but I'm not going to pretend that I understand their thinking. So, it's Jim Cook, as you can see, for our final one, and I'm not going to lie, Jim was actually kind of difficult. There's not actually a ton of rock-related back row, and he doesn't play a whole lot of generic stuff, so it was a little weird actually trying to get him to work here. And he had a slot for I realized I'd actually put 9 reprints in, so he's got the one last reprint. It's Shrink, as you can see if you're glancing at the list up here. And that's just solely because I think Shrink needs a reprint, and it's a good card, and it fits the general theme of the deck. So, as you can see, there is a whole mess of cards in here, and I do want to comment that one of my ideas here was to give him Triamids as, like, the other half of his deck, because they're rocks, and they put things in graveyards, and the field spell thing's kind of cool. I ultimately decided not to, because Triamids aren't very good without Sphinx, and also they just don't really fit Jim. They're very Egyptian, and he's not. So, I ultimately decided not to. So, he's got a mix of generic rocks thrown in here. And just some stuff I put in that feels kind of correct. So, it's going to be a little weird. He's going to be a little rough. I don't feel as confident with Jim just because I'm not entirely certain what the hell to give him. So, we'll just start here. And we're going to start with Evil Swarm Golem. This is a rock. I did not know this was a rock. It's kind of cool, actually. So once per turn, you can target one level 5 or higher non-dark monster on the field and destroy that target. That's it. It's a 2150 bad monarch that pops a non-dark card. This is completely fine. This is 100% okay. I don't even think it's that good. I just thought it was kind of cool, and it might actually be good in speed duels, or at least decent. And frankly, I don't think Evil Swarm Golem has ever been allowed to say that it's decent. Also, it's a giant eyeball with, like, legs. And I'm like, this would be kind of neat because it's sort of like Jim's Orichalcos eye. So, you know, it fits vaguely thematically. I'm going to hit all of the fossil support cards now. Flint Cragger, Shell Knight, and Weathering Soldier. Now, I have some qualms with these. Not because they're too good, but because both Flint Cragger and Shell Knight burn randomly for 500, I have no fucking idea why they do that. But they do, and I'm not really a big fan of burning cards, but hey, here we are. They're fine, because most of their effects aren't that big of a deal. So if this card is special summoned, you can discard one card, and if you do, send a fossil fusion monster from your extra deck to the graveyard. You could send this card from the field to the graveyard and inflict 500 points of damage to your opponent. Then, if fossil fusion is in your graveyard, you can return to your graveyard one of your banished cards that is Fossil Fusion or mentions it. So, Flint Cragger is fine. It's the burn is kind of dumb. I mean, it's not a lot of burn, so it's not a big deal. And it's fucking tiny. So, you summon it, do that, and then you can get some stuff back because Fossil Fusion banishes. Shell Knight is a little more generically good. If it's normal summoned, you can change the defense position, and if you do, inflict 500 damage to your opponent. So it's just a 2k wall that does that. It's just kind of stupid. If this card is destroyed by battle or sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you can add one level 8 rock monster from your deck to your hand, or if Fossil Fusion is in your graveyard, you can special summon it instead. For the rest of this turn, you cannot activate cards or the effects of cards with the same name as that card. So, it searches things, like you can, you know, if you find some way to get it off the board with a card effect in, like, magnets, you could search Valkyrion. Enjoy. I think Valkyrion. No, Valkyrion's not an 8, is he? That's not 8 or higher. No, that is 8. Never mind. You could search a level 8 rock. I don't even know if we have level 8 rocks. I don't even know if I put a level 8 rock in here. But hey, Shell Knight does that. I'm more concerned about the burning effect. Honestly, it's okay. This is very easily cuttable. Like, they could just cut this card because it's not really super helping out the deck, but hey, I'm not going to yell too much. And then we have Weathering Soldier. This one's great, honestly. It's a 2k idiot That's a normal summon, but it keeps losing attack every turn, so it gets to do it for 1 turn. Who cares? If this card is destroyed by battle or sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you can add 1 Fossil Fusion or 1 card that specifically lists Fossil Fusion in its text, except Weathering Soldier, from your deck to your hand. You can only use this effect of Weathering Soldier once per turn. Once per turn, it loses 600 attack during your end phase. So Weathering Soldier is the best of these 3, and none of them are broken because you have to find a way to get, like, this one's just getting you resources back. Shell Knight is getting you an idiot for fusing reasons. Weathering Soldier's the big boy here. He's doing all of the actual work. He's getting you Fossil Fusion, which is what you need, but you have to send it to the graveyard with a card effect somehow. Now, that means you could go Weathering Soldier, Share the Pain, clear the board, Fossil Fusion for, Skullgios, who we know exists, but Skullgios requires a level 7 or higher monster in your opponent's graveyard. I assume there's going to be a skill or something that, lets you get around this. I kind of hope not, because I kind of want Skullgios to be hard to summon, because this thing is gross. Because it just... It has to be a monster, but it's still 3,500, and it's a lot of goddamn damage in one shot. But it does double piercing damage, which is gross. Actually, it's not even piercing. It just does double battle damage if it battles a monster. So it does a lot. So yeah, that's the trio. They're fine. The burn's a little irritating, but, whatever. We have Fossil Tusker. This thing also does burn, but it's a fossil and it's a rock. It's thematic. It's not even that good. It's an 1800 that burns for an additional 4. Like, this is Cyber Dark shit. I think, what is it, Edge? No. Keel. One of them. One of them burns when they kill something. It's not that good. Oh no, he's an 8. Here, you can search Gaia Plate with the Shell Knight. It's fine. You can special summon this card by removing from play any 2 rock-type monsters in your graveyard. During your standby phase, remove from play 1 rock-type monster in the graveyard, or send this card to the graveyard. Have the attack and defense of any monster that battles with this card. This is honestly less for Jim and more for, magnets. It's just a second idiot they can, summon to secure the OTK, because that's an actual problem they have. They can't quite secure it, which sucks because it's really fun. We have Gigantes, who I was somewhat reluctant, and then I'm like, you know what, fuck it. If someone wants to blow this thing up and then nuke all the back row, I don't care. This is fine. This is just a good card. There's no reason that she's not unreasonable. She's just good. Another Banishing Boy is Gigastone Omega, who's also not that good, but hey, he's got a big ass if you want something. So it can only be special summoned by removing play 2 Earth monsters from your graveyard. When this face-up card you control is sent to the graveyard by a card effect, destroy all spell trap cards your opponent controls. Hey, look, it's another Gigantes. But this is battle and this is card effect. This is worse, but hey, might be relevant later. I don't know, it's a level 5 rock. Go for it. Golem Sentry, because we don't have it already and it fits the deck. He's fine. More Pac-Man stuff that's never going to be relevant because there's no main phase 2. Gorgonic Golem is in here. I know it's in Big Z's archetype series. Whatever, it's part of the Gorgons. But it fits. It's a nice level 3 dark rock. It's pretty good. If it's destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, the attack of the monster that destroyed it becomes 0. You can banish the card from your graveyard, then target one set spell trap card your opponent controls. The target cannot be activated this turn. Your opponent cannot activate the targeted card in response to this effect's activation. So it Xing Zhang Hu's a back row when you banish it, and it reduces something's attack to 0 when it's destroyed by it. That's neat. I like Gorgonic Golem. It's a neat little card. It could be fun to use. It's not mind-blowing by any stretch of the imagination. It's just a neat little card. I was trying to do Banish Rocks, and there's really no way to do that, because frankly, there's one card that actually banishes rocks for the sake of banishing rocks. These two sort of do it by just banishing a bunch of, Earths, but that doesn't, work with Gorgonic Golem or anything, which kind of sucks. So there's no, rock banish, which means Lost Guardian, who just gets a huge ass for having a bunch of banished rocks, and Mega Rock Dragon don't really have, anything to assist them. Mega Rock kind of does it itself, though, which is nice, because you just remove play all your rocks, and then it gains a bunch of attack for the number of, basically, this will remove a bunch of rocks, gain a bunch of attack for all the rocks removed. I know I can't speak English today. And then Lost Guardian just has a big ass. This thing's in here because it's a rock and vaguely fits Jim. I don't like that it's in here, but frankly, there's not a lot of rocks that are worth giving him anyway. Like, you could probably come up with some other ones. Like, there was someone on the Discord. I'm sorry, I can't remember who it was in SDL. But they had a cool list where it was the Kawaki Meru rocks. And I was like, that's kind of neat. Probably not going to get that, but that'd be kind of neat to have the little trio of rocks that Kawaki Meru have. That'd be fun. I'm not against that, Konami. If you'd like to introduce the Kawaki Merus in here, that would be neat. But, I mean, I kind of expect Mega Rock Dragon in here. Is this isn't no, he's a 7. For reasons I can't fathom. Why are you a 7? Weird. Anyway, onto the spells. It's Fossil Fusion, like you expected. This is not shocking or mind-blowing. I expect this to be a card, not a skill. If it's a skill, this deck's probably dead, because, Jesus Christ, that's terrible. You can do it once, and this deck kind of needs to do it more than once. It's sort of the plan here. We don't have Magnet Reverse. This is fine. This is for magnets, so they can summon Valkyrion back. I mean, this is in the deck to, get Giga Stone Omega and, Mega Rock Dragon, because they can't be normal summoned or set, so it works for those two, if you would like to do that. It's kind of, and Gigantes, so you have 3 targets. So that's neat if you'd like to use this. It's also a quick play, which is kind of fun. I don't know why it's a quick play, but hey, I ain't gonna complain. Then you have Miracle Rupture. This is a heck of a card, actually. This is also specifically a Fossil Fusion support card. So you send a level 4 or lower rock monster from your deck to the graveyard. Then if Fossil Fusion is in your graveyard, you draw a card. Neat! Again, there's nothing mind-blowing about this card. It's Upstart Goblin at best. It's foolish and Upstart, but it's foolish for rocks only. So again, I could see Magnets running this. There might be some weird rock pile that someone comes up with that I don't know. That would be kind of neat. Shrink is Shrink. Time Stream is completely fair. Now, before I go into Time Stream, there is a missing fossil card. It's Specimen Inspection. No, we're not. No, not happening. Okay. You know what? I'm gonna bring it up here so you guys can look at it. Specimen. There it is. Specimen Inspection. Okay. So before I go to Time Stream, which is a very good card, I need to show you this one, and I'm going to tell you why I didn't put it in here. So, you reveal Fossil Fusion in your hand, send one monster from your hand to the graveyard, and if you do, declare a type and a level. Then your opponent looks at their hand and deck and sends one monster with the declared type and level from one of them to the graveyard. You can only activate one of these points per turn. So you can make your opponent send a card to the graveyard. Now, in normal Yu-Gi-Oh!, that's not exactly mind-blowing. Here, it's really stupid because we all know what the hell everyone's playing. If you're playing Cyber Angels, I'm going to declare level 8 Fairy, and I'm going to make you send Izana to the grave. Now that Izana's in grave, I'm going to summon Skullgios, banishing her, and in a rock I have, to make Skullgios, and I'm going to murder you. Like, you're just going to get obliterated. This card has dumber matchups for other things, too, like if they're playing a hand trap or something, like you could just make them send Sphere Karibo or something. It's not the best use of your time, but I'm just saying you're allowed to do it. Basically, I just think Specimen Inspection's too good because, frankly, we have a much smaller card pool than general Yu-Gi-Oh! And there's less overlap of the thing you're going to call. Like, Sphere Karibo is specific in what it is. Like, there's not going to be a lot of overlap in people's decks with that one. I mean, you could do the same thing with Ash Blossom, technically, but you get my point. In the case of, Izana, that's the only card that's going to fulfill that criteria. That's it. Nothing else will fulfill that criteria, and you're just going to lose a card. And then they're going to pop off like absolute crazy and murder you in one turn, where that normally doesn't happen in advance because you have more life points. So I'm just saying, I think this card's too good, which is why it's not here. Time Stream, on the other hand, is just really good, not mind-blowingly good. So target a Fossil Fusion monster you control, tribute it, and if you do, special summon one Fossil Fusion monster from your extra deck, whose original level is 2 higher than that monster's. This is treated as a fusion summon with Fossil Fusion. During your main phase, except the turn this card is sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card and one Fossil Fusion monster from your graveyard, then target a Fossil Fusion monster in your graveyard, special summon it. So Time Stream is really fucking good. It is, but it requires, the second effect requires a whole bunch of setup in order to actually get off, but it is good. So you have to get, like, it'll get you back the guy you time streamed into. But I really see this being the way you're getting into Skullgios. We'll get into the fusions I'm including in here and why I'm including them and not the other ones. But time stream's probably fine because it can be exceedingly bricky. You don't actually want to run too many of it. Beyond that, we have Release from Stone, which is Call of the Haunted for banished rock monsters. It's fine. Saku, because he actually plays it in the actual anime, like this is in his deck, and Saku's completely fine. Like, it's just a different widespread. And it targets, so it's arguably worse than widespread in 90% of scenarios for us, because Dark Fusion will actually protect Gaia from this, whereas widespread is not stopped by that, and you will still kill Gaia. So Saku is actually pseudo-power crept for us, just because of how fast our games are, and we usually aren't going wide, so it's fine. And then Tiki Curse is in here because A, it's a rock, and B, it's a trap monster, because he had a trap monster in the show that doesn't actually exist, so I gave him Tiki Curse. Tiki Curse is not mind-blowing. Merry Christmas, Odeon. You can have Tiki Curse. You can have an idiot. Enjoy yourself. It's not mind-blowing. I wanted to put the other one in here too, but the other one's actually, like, really good, so you just get Curse, which just, turns them into, like, catasters. Bad Cataster, because it's after Damage Calc, so, there it is. Now, on to the fusions. We already know about Skullgios, so we're going to go to the other ones. We have Skullgar, who's fine. Skullgar's totally okay. He's just a guy. 2500, idiot. If he decks damage with a monster, he does piercing. You can banish this card from your graveyard, add a fossil fusion from your deck to your hand. You can only use effective it once per turn. So, that's neat. Someone's effect here lets you dump a idiot, didn't it? Is this the one? No, he's restoring banishing. I thought someone dumped something. It's not you. No. That's not you either. I don't remember. No one does dumping. That was a different card I was thinking of. Anyway, so he's neat. It's very fun. And he's just a good, honestly, he's kind of got insane stats for level 4. But it's a rock, and then you need an opponent's monster from their graveyard to do with Fossil Fusion. He's fine. Searching to get another copy afterwards just lets you kind of keep going, which is good. So that's helpful. Then we have Buggy, who's another 4. This one's easier for you to make because it just needs a rock monster in your graveyard, and then it is a level 4 or lower monster. So it destroys opponent's monster by battle. It burns for 600. That's fine. It has to destroy stuff in by battle. You can banish this card from your graveyard, add one monster from your deck to your hand that mentions Fossil Fusion. Whoop-de shit. Skullbuggy's not that great. I just put it in here because the other ones get a little weird. They tend to have too many attacks. Like, there's a lot of, like, multi-attackers in here. Skull Convoy has, like, 3, and those aren't on monsters. Those are just, it has that many attacks, so I kind of left the other ones out. The only double attacker I left in here is Skull Knight, who is a 6, and then you can time stream into Skullgios off of him. So you've got Fossil Warrior Skull Knight. I did not put Skull King in here because he's got triple attacks at 2800 attack. This guy's 2 attacks at 2400. So if he attacks defense with a monster, like piercing battle damage, and then when attacking card destroys monster by battle, you can activate this fact. This card can make a second attack in a row. And then you can banish this card from your graveyard, then target one monster on the field, destroy it. So Skull Knight's a really good card. He does piercing. He gets a second attack if he destroys the monster by battle, which can probably just win you the game outright. And then if he's destroyed, you can banish him to pop a card on the board. So that's fine. Skull Knight is much better than putting Skull King in here. Skull King just attacks too much. Skull Convoy has the same problem. Was it Skull Wagon, I think, was the one below that. And that one I was a little on. There was burn double tapping stuff, if I remember right. Basically, these 4 are the ones that are completely safe to include. Is Konami going to believe that? I don't know. Fossils just kind of are an OTK deck. They're very good at it in normal Yu-Gi-Oh! Because they can make, like, a Skull King and a Skullgios quite easily just themselves, and those 2 cards alone will probably just win you the game if you can punch through hard enough. Here, Skull Knight's gonna do it. He'll hit once, do, 1,000 damage or whatever. He only needs to do 1,600 damage with the Pierce, which is very doable. depending on what you have set or what have you, and then he just taps you again, or has any sort of boost. Like, him and Poison Sword can just out and out win the game immediately. He just has to get that second shot off, and he's gonna win. It's very silly, okay? We have a lot of OTK crap floating around right now, so I wouldn't be shocked if fossils get hit. Anyway, that's it for fossils. This is what I've got. This doesn't feel anywhere near as clean as the other ones do. They were more organic to me, and I mean, well, I kind of just shoved every single fossil card in here minus, specimen inspection, and there might be a trap that I'm forgetting. There's not a lot for me to put in with rocks. Like, I can't put the Adamantivators in. I mean, I could put, like, the block stuff in, but honestly, the block stuff's kind of terrible and doesn't actually gel at all with this deck. And I'm not pretending most of the other stuff I have in here gels with the deck, but at the same time, there's a giant pile of crap getting thrown into the graveyard. So, a secondary plan of Mega Rock Dragon and then taking advantage of all the banished stuff is valid. Just saying. And Gaia Plate's in here because Jim plays Gaia Plate. So, it's also a completely fair card for us to have. It's not a big deal. It's okay. Anyway, what do you guys think? We're going to get the Kawaki Merus instead of all the banished stuff? Do you want Mega Rock Dragon? Are the fossil fusions going to consist of, like, Skullgar and Skullgios, and then that's it, and we're not getting, like, Time Stream, and, they'll give us Specimen Inspection instead? Who knows? I'm honestly not certain. It's hard to predict with Konami sometimes. But what do you guys think? Remember to like, share, comment below, all that wonderful stuff, and I will see you all next time. Peace out, everybody.